sir.
Yes, good morning.
Sir, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Dr. Titasha Sinha, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible to you? Good morning, Dr. Titasha Sinha, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Good morning, Dr. Dasgupta. You were absolutely audible. I was just finding hard to set with the settings. I was working on the settings. So, good morning.
Okay. Yeah, good morning. Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, you're not visible. Is there some issue in the...
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, so a very good morning to our respected guest speaker for today, Dr. Titasha Sinha, ma'am. Our respected director, sir, Professor Dr.Avindu Disanayak, sir, who is the director of Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka. On behalf of Department of Gender Studies and Social Studies, Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, I, Dr. Madhurima Dasgupta, presently the head of the Department of Gender Studies and Social Studies, welcomes all of you back to another webinar. Today's webinar will be on a different issue of gender, where the importance of food, lifestyle, and how society plays an important role, rather how gender studies plays an important role in creating the nexus. So for this, we have a respected guest speaker for today. To introduce the speaker briefly, Dr. Titasha Sinha is presently Assistant Professor, Stage 3 of Sociology, West Bengal Education Service from Maulana Azad College, Kolkata, West Bengal, India. She has pursued her graduation in Sociology from Presidency College, Kolkata, and has received gold medal at Masters in Sociology at Jadavpur University for securing first class in order of merit. She has even received a doctoral degree from Jadavpur University in 2014 and has been teaching in various faculty positions at Jadavpur University, Rani Billa Girls College, and joined WBES in the year 2014 and was posted at Government General Degree College, Shingur. She is now presently in Maulana Azad College, and her specialization is very interesting. That is, it is in sociology of food and religion. Today, she will enrich all of us on the topic entitled Analyzing the Structural Nexus of Discourses and Practices, both within and outside the household. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dasgupta. First of all, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. And one more thing, is my screen visible? Like the
Yes,
PowerPoint presentation?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So first of all, I would like to extend my warm regards to the Chief Session Instructor, Dr. Avindu Desanaike, who is the Director and Head of the Department of Criminology, Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, and also Dr. Madhurima Dasgupta, who is the Head of the Department of Gender Studies and Social Studies. I have known her for quite a long time. She is also from Jadavpur University. So basically, at this juncture, we basically, as we spread ourselves in a multidisciplinary discourses, we basically, all of us come together with our intellectual discourses and discussions. This is like the very essence of sociology, I think, rather with all the social science disciplines. Now, basically, I have chosen to talk today on the thing that I've been working for quite a long time, that is gender in food. Here, as you can see, we'll be analyzing the structural nexus of discourses and practices, both within and outside the household. Now, basically, gender and food are two institutional categories. Food is something that is very basic, something very essential for our sustenance. whereas gender is something that we have been talking about for quite a long time. Even though the term gender appears quite, value laden, but the term food, as it is, neutral, it is quite neutral. It appears that something that is very essential for a sustenance. Today, I would like to critically point out how we put food vis-a-vis other social institutions, and we get to see that how the dynamics of food takes it to a realm much beyond just its physical task of providing nutrition to the physical body. That makes it very essential and interesting, I think, to talk about these things when at this time when gender has been, disjuncted at many points. We have made open gender open, made open gender open. Then why don't we look into the connections that food might have with gender? So, absolutely, starting at the very basic level, what is food? Food is something absolutely something that's essential for a nutrition. It might have substances which contain protein, carbohydrates, fats, which not only are essential for our survival, but also these are essential for a repairing of our body or for a growth. So it is that much close to us, that much important to us. But when we put food vis-a-vis other social institutions of society, we find that food is into a very kind of a complex relationship, and that complexity emerges out of the social, cultural, religious, economic, or even political factors. As they interact with food, they develop a kind of a multifarious relationship when they come in conjunction with food. So it goes without saying that food has got certain amount of symbolic value. Now, symbolic value means, what does food hold? What symbol is food? Now, if you consider it at the very basic sense, every culture has got certain symbols attached to food. Like, in some cultures, curd and sugar is considered as auspicious. Honey might be a symbol of, sweetness. Similarly, salt might be a symbol of, preservation. So these are at the superficial level. These are the certain symbolic values we attach with food. But at the deeper level, food has got important manifestations which come out in the social hierarchy, social connections, identity, or even rituals and ceremonies. That makes it very important that how food itself carries is a symbol by itself. Now, coming to gender, it is an institute that you all have been working on gender, so there is no need to talk about gender. But as considering the general, audience, gender is something we all know is socially constructed along the biological lines of sex that we call. Here, we have purposefully used the term gender in our understanding because it is how gender is being constructed in relationship with food. That is important in our discussion. So we absolutely don't get into the biological lines that we mean by sex. Another important connotation here is whatever distinctions or whatever roles, values, expressions surrounding gender identities are created, those are mostly created around the binary gender lines. You don't have with food non-binary gender lines which define gender roles. That is what people of other gender would be doing in relationship of food. The tradition, the discourses, they have always been mainstreaming the main two genders in relationship of food. That is something which is very peculiar as we see how food is viewed in society. Now, any gender, basically any studies on gender, on focus on gender, basically revolves around the 5 elements which can be called the pillars also. Those are relational. That is how gender is understood through relationships between the genders. That is the men and the female. We are talking about the binary categories here only. Hierarchical. That is the structured inequality creating unequal power relationships. Also, it is between the two genders. historical. Any studies on gender is historical in the sense it is dynamic. It is dynamic in the sense that it is not static. It was born somewhere, it is moving somewhere, and it will again progress to somewhere else. It is contextual to the sense that how understandings of gender is very much specific to context. Like if I take back the context, even though however universal the food and its relationship with institutions are, they are very specific to cultural context. So uprooting it from context will obviously not give us the perfect track of proceeding towards the goal. Also, there is the institutional perspective, in the institutional pillar. Institutions are very important because they are into a dialectical relationship with the norms and expectations. Because how we need to understand that the institutions are structured by norms and expectations, but over a period of time, they are the ones who goes on to turn and shape gender roles. So how all these can be used in relationship with that of food and gender. The basic focus revolves around the cultural diversity, how it interplays between gender, patriarchy, and the cultural identity. Now, hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, now you are.
Okay. So, uh, also, we see that the consumption patterns, the food choices, and also the nutritional intake, they are intertwined with the societal forces, be it caste, class, religion, economic, and other factors. So it is very interesting to delve into an understanding to see that how food itself deciphers, how we can decipher the meaning that is loaded with that of food. Also, if as we are relating with it with gender, we try to identify the role of women in the cycle of production, preparation, and consumption, both across the private and the public spheres. Now, gender acts as the differentia. What do we mean by differentia? Differentia means the delineating factor. So, when we consider the entire spectrum of food, be it production, distribution, consumption, and everything, we see that gender acts as a differentia in delineating what relationship or what kind of what kind of access, what kind of denial, kind of constraints women will be having with food. So here gender is the crucial determinant that decides men's relation with food and also with women's relation with food, and in overall that structures the gendered relations of both men and women in a particular socio-cultural setting. Now, when we try to look into gender, we basically try to, focus upon, we want to place it in a system whereby with food, we try to locate what are the systemic inequalities gender is having with food, how gender discrimination is taking place, and consumption patterns and everything. Also, the food choices, we look into the food choices and behavior, and thereby we see that how gender plays a determinant in deciding the food choices and the behavior people have in relationship of food. Also, the social influence, that is the behavioral influence, or what kind of class, status, and everything, gender is determining when we consider food intake. Now, if we if we look into the social system, if we look into our dominant social system, predominant social system, we find that in society men and women are different. That lies along the biological lines, and that is quite acceptable. Now, the problem lies that the difference structures into some kind of inequality when we basically see that men and women are placed in unequal power positions. That is, the difference turns out to be structured. It turns out that whereby a woman is placed in a lower position in that of men. So that creates unequal power positions. And the immediate result of it is what? The immediate result of it is that it disadvantages one group over another. Like, one group is benefiting from this unequal power access, and at the same time the other side of the coin is that another group is actually benefiting from the entire system. And the focus is that these creates inequalities not only surrounding food but also surrounding food, food and gender. So they are creating some kind of crystallization of discriminations, a crystallization, some kind of unequal resource access, which concerns around food, and the basis of it is gender. Now, we will focus to the gender analysis perspective. We all know the gender analysis perspective lets us assess any in-depth understanding by accepting the socially defined differences between men and women. It gives us opinions and options, and which are relevant in both social, cultural, and economic lives, and their consequent impacts on policies, programs, and services. Now, these gender analysis refers to three very important things. What are these? Often called RAC. These are relationship, that is relationship between gender, access to resources, two genders. It may be unequal. We can presume it to be unequal, but yes, it is access to resources across genders. And constraints towards what? Constraints towards access to resources. Like what are the barriers women has to face in order to get access to the resources is quite different from what kind of barriers men face in order to get access to the resources. Now, the gender analysis perspective, or the structure of gender analysis perspective, it's a very, incoming line of thought. The Swedish Institute has formulated the 4 R's. The first is representation, the second is resources, the third is realia, and the fourth is realize. So any gender-based analysis, if you want to put it into action, it must follow these 4 phases. That would make it comprehensive. So why not we try it when we talk about something that's food, that is something very mundane and relatable to us. So presentation, it again revolves around distribution across men and women, how food distribution is different for men and for women, how the resources relating food are distributed across the gender. Realia is the pattern which makes us understand the gendered pattern that influence the context in practice and the consequences they have. And realize that makes us have the action plans that will help us to bridge the gaps or bridge the gender inequalities, if at all it is existing. Now, so with this, we come to the thing that has always been that has been, making rounds, this patriarchy. So patriarchy is the male dominated view of society or pattern of society. But here we talk about patriarchal discourses. Now, patriarchal discourses are the male dominated discourses which are operative in society. Now, what are discourses? Discourses have often been defined as, primers. When we color our walls, the primers, they sort of make us mend the apparently unevenness that the walls are having. So the patriarchal discourses, the pervasive nature of the patriarchal discourses, and along with the capitalistic molds it's having, it is somewhat, it molds, it tries to, make up for the patches that gender has created in society. It makes us appear, it makes us, internalize the patriarchal norms, so much so that we consider them to be normal. So we have internalized the patriarchal norms, and we have made it very much normal. It is like quite normal for us to accept things as they are. Along with it, the complex interplay of power, culture, and identity frames, they makes the operative discourses, the all pervasive operative discourses, as a manifestation of the interplay of power, culture, and identity in a very sober and soothing way. So we if we look into food, if the patriarchy basically takes us from questioning, but if we place food in the patriarchal discourse, in the paradigm of patriarchy, we have to treat food as a socio-cultural construct, whereby we basically interrogate the concept of food, we problematize it, we ask it who is having food, with whom, how, why is the food being given, and what is being constituted of food. And if you ask me, at every facet you will find it is gendered. Why a person have food, what kind of food a person is having, how he is having, with whom he is having, all of them, and who is having it, all of them are determined by forces which are much beyond the biological parlance of food, to take it just to the mere levels of sustenance and having food. So we find that food, which appears to be absolutely value neutral, is highly laden, it is structured, and is manifestative of the operative patriarchal discourses which are present in society. So how do we internalize, the patriarchal norms as pursuants? Yeah, I think you all of our experts of gender studies. So gender and socialization, these two terms are absolutely, they are absolute friends from childhood. So basically it is socialization that makes us learn the gendered norms, gendered roles, the expected gender behavior of the particular society or culture of which we are a part. Now, the problem with socialization is that it is very much, routinized. The problem of socialization is that it is very much routinized. It is something that makes it, very normal. As it is routinized, food is a mundane thing. We need to have it every time for a survival, whether we want it, we do not want it, we need to have it. So it's a very routine activity, and the activities related to food is also very routine. So it is normal. And as it is routinized, as it is normal, we become somewhat invisible to the hidden gender norms that food manifests. And that is very alarming, because the patriarchal discourses basically, acts, puts that primer that makes it very much invisible. We fail to identify that, yes, these are the things that makes it value laden. We absolutely fail to see through that. Now, how does socialization permeate? Socialization permeates through the transmission of cultural norms that takes place through food. If we want to get better into it, we have to look into the Sutton's concept. Sutton, in the year 2014, conceptualized something called embodied apprenticeship. Now, here we delineate between the private sphere, and Sutton is pointing out that in the private sphere, at the intergenerational level, culinary knowledge, or the knowledge related to food, cooking, preparation, is passed on from one generation to another through observation. And what is most important thing is that what is most important is that it extends much beyond the formal instruction. Uh, when we talk about formal instruction, we basically refer to the number of schools and hotel management institutes and schools which basically formally transmits this knowledge of culinary knowledge from one generation to another. But if we talk about the culinary knowledge through embodied apprenticeship, what happens is it is passed on from one generation to another. And here an interplay of not only observation but also participation and sensory engagement takes place. If we look into it, we get, we are, it's embodied in the sense it becomes a part of our existence. Like ghar ka khana, maa ke haath ka bana hua khana. All these things, even, the smell of, this fish curry is absolutely smelling like how my
Ma'am, are you there? Ma'am, you're not audible. Dr. Titasha Sinha, ma'am, you're not audible. Okay, participants, kindly wait for some time. I think there is a major technical glitch at the end of the speaker, so please wait. Please don't leave the meeting. Okay, please wait for some time. I texted the speaker. She is joining within a while. Kindly wait.
Hello.
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Uh, yes, so I will continue with my phone because I don't know how my system is not responding. So I'm
Okay,
trying
okay.
as soon as possible. I'll be sharing my video, my PowerPoint
Oh, ma'am.
presentation. Okay.
You can
So
switch off your video also, ma'am, if you have network issues. No issues.
okay, so I'll try with this. I don't know why my Zoom is not absolute. It is like it is not working. I don't know what. Okay, so um, sorry for the disturbance. I'm extremely sorry to keep you all waiting. So now, so just a second.
Ma'am, will you send me the PPT? Will I share it?
Yes.
I think that will be better. You can mail me or
Okay, just a second. Okay, so just give me a second. I'm so sorry.
it's okay, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll not waste any more time. I'm trying to send it to you. My Zoom is not working, so I'm working on the I'm working on it as soon as possible. I'll be sending it. So if it is possible for you to share it.
Sure, sure, ma'am. You can send me. No
Okay.
issues.
So we move on to the gustomological understanding, which basically talks simultaneously about how food is intellectual and sensory, as well as personal and collective. Like food is something that is about food, something that we are learning from the intellectual perspective. At the same time, the sensory thing we are perceiving through our other senses that is related to that of food. It is personal in the sense what I learn in my personal kitchen from my like parents, my mother, or from other aspects of the society, from the dual role of that what my father doesn't do. Even I learn that I learn my gender role vis-a-vis other gender roles also. So that makes it a personal experience, whereas at my family of procreation I am being personally trained so that I perform something in the collective, that is in my future family life. So that makes food under the it is multifarious. It is more of a gustomological in nature. Its approach needs to be widened and broadened in order to see to it. Now with this there is something called the dichotomy of culture. What is dichotomy of culture? culture is dichotomous in the sense that that culture makes us learn the elements that are associated with it, and once when we learn the elements of culture, we become carriers of abiding by what culture has taught me. So this makes the position of culture absolutely dichotomous in our society. Now, coming to food, gender, and cultural identity, we find that how gender lines are the very basis around which food practices are, structured. The culinary expertise of women are generally socialized to have culinary experience or expertise. Now, this culinary expertise is absolutely a problematic concept because it is emancipating for the women, because I am able to I am an expert at cooking, so I can cook, I can showcase my expertise at the kitchen. So it, even though, gives me a sense of power, but this perceived sense of power is absolutely delineating. It's absolutely it is also not wholesome in its own way, because along with this comes the mechanism whereby, in order to showcase my power and expertise in home, expertise at home, expertise while cooking, expertise while doing my stuff, what I end up is end up being confined to my domestic kitchen space. So these are the both sides of the same coin, that it is apparently appearing to be something that is that requires a lot of expertise, and I am the one who can best do it, I am the one who is doing it. But again, if you consider my personal front, this confinement is something that is not acting in my favor. That is what we can say. Here we can take the example of many places across culture, because culture is something that, even though creates some kind of differences across the range to which it is manifested or other things, but it is something, even though cross culturally there might be some differences, but the basic framework happens to be universal and be same, and it is present. So if we take, for example, the Japanese culture, they have the famous, they have the famous practice of the bento box that we all know. They are very popular these days. So the bento box is a proper full course packed meal, and it requires, and it comprises of everything a meal might have in all its courses and everything. So a bento box requires a lot of expertise to make it. But again, it is quite understandable the amount of effort that goes on in making and preparing the bento box. So if I am expressing my skills in preparing the bento box, at the same time I am the one who is basically being being cut off from other social and economic lives in order to showcase my expertise. So I'm missing my PowerPoint presentation here. Basically, we in this discussion we would be placing women in processes that are related to food preparation, food consumption, processes related to food production, and of course, we would like to see that what kind of relation women have, in order to see where we can place women in relationship with food in society. Now, food preparation and gender. Default identifies that men and women are socially recognized in ways that are absolutely unequal when we go and consider the cooking practices. And where do we come? What is the space, the site where cooking practices are done? According to default's ideas are replicated, and we will be taking examples in order to find that. So, this unequal relationship is reiterated in the private space, that is the kitchen. The kitchen is basically a site of control. It is also the place where idealized kind of femininity can be showcased, like reinforcing of social expectation concerning the good and bad. Like if I'm a good cook, I am reinforcing the idealized kind of femininity. I'm adhering to it, and I'm feeling very happy that yes, I am the socially desirable. I'm socially desirable feminine. I am having those qualities.
But there is a very multi-layered problem with that of kitchen. What is kitchen? Kitchen is very much, if we talk about the private kitchen, it is very much isolated. It is also privatized. So the space of the kitchen is very much a problematic place, because if we consider it in relation with other parts of the home, the kitchen is the only space where food preparation goes on. It's kind of a production unit that instills in it all the stages that are required till the food is served on the table. So thereby kitchen itself is very much messy. You need to make the kitchen right. The kitchen needs to be cleared. There needs to be number of processes that are to be related to that of food and kitchen. Counihan and Kaplan, in the almost in the year like 1998, they have identified that it is a responsibility of the women to feed others, and this identity of women with feeding others is somewhat that is universal. Women, even though if we consider the urban cosmopolitan environment, even though women are not cooking, I might face the question that even today's days all the women are not cooking. Do I cook or not? No, I don't cook. But the fact is, the responsibility is feminine. What is the responsibility? The responsibility of that is related to carrying the entire mental load that cooking the entire that carries with the entire process of cooking. It comes from the preparation, that is how the meal is to be prepared, who is going to prepare it, and it goes on up till the table is being cleaned. And once when the table is cleaned, then the family prepares again for another meal time. So, food is more about access, control, and identity, and it is highly gendered. It is highly and structurally gendered. So, important discourses, like I will again and again come on to how structure and discourses they come and stand in coalition with one another. So, men, if we look into the discourses, it is generally said men enter kitchen, while women are the one who are perceived to be there. It is there are men women entering kitchen, it's not the thing. But men entering kitchen is obviously something that is celebrated. So culinary spaces are of course gendered, and here I have structurally used the word culinary spaces in order to incorporate both the private kitchen and also the public kitchen. Swinbank identifies that men cook for money and status, while women cook out of love and duty. And this can be traced back to the time of industrialization, when prior to that is the domestic division of labor between women's work to be more expressive, emotional ones, and men's work requiring that to be a breadwinner earners. This basically makes women assign a position whereby we find that women are cooking, and not only cooking, there are a innumerable number of things like cooking, cleaning, or even planning. These minute details are invisible. Why they are invisible? Because they are done at the private sphere. But when we find that these works are reiterated in the public kitchen, we find all these works are recognized. And what is the reason behind the recognition of the smallest details of work that goes into cooking and preparation of food? Because all these works are enumerated, these are something that people are paying for. So once when you recognize it, you pay for it, they become visible. Otherwise, at the home front, as they are invisible, because people, as they are that as they are, you don't have to pay for it, you don't have to mind for it, thereby they are all invisible. You are just looking at the platter, what you are having for food. We often find men coming home and asking what's there for food. Also, the term that men are chefs, and we also find that the hotel and the hospital management industry is dominated by males. So male are chefs, where women are cooks. And it is also said that women can often be said as referred to as chefs, but men are never referred to as cooks. So these are the gendered terms and discourses that structures the things that are associated with food. So if you are having a professional expertise, it is quite understandable that you will be respected with, or you will be rewarded with respect, authority, and perhaps a promotion. But when you are exercising that same expertise, but at a private sphere, you don't get any of this. Because the works of the kitchen are a woman's duty, and women is naturally empowered with the skills of the kitchen. So you might get an occasional appreciation, but no such recognition. Similar works of the kitchen, as the site turns to the public one, they becomes much more than mere recognition. They becomes a site of award. They becomes a site of reward. So what is dismissed as ordinary goes on to be celebrated. If you look into our households, if it is like an occasionally, if the father cooks the meal, it becomes something that is celebrated, while the mother cooking the meal is quite normal. Yes, it is normal that mother cooks delicious food, but if a father cooks a normal food, like father cooks any meal, special, that meal turns special. So the celebration, what is celebration for a gender is ordinary, mundane for another gender. So from all these, we understand that there is no essentialism that is associated with food beyond nurturing the body. But as the site changes, as the gender changes, the way food is being treated, the relationship of food with gender changes. So this makes us understand and question that whether food in itself is to be treated gender neutral. Of course not. Kitchen is also a place of autonomy if women do not cook by, like, out of drudgery. If it is a repetitive work, then it obviously turns out to be a matter of drudgery. Also, the food that is cooked, the meal times, that is when the food is to be cooked, who is going to cook it, are all determined by others. But often we see that procurement of the things related to food and cooking, all of them are still majorly considered as a male job. So it is the male, the Bangali Babu, who goes out to the market to brings home the and procure food, because it might entail certain economic transactions, and the rest is looked after by by the women. Now, coming to appetite and gender, appetite is what? Appetite, hunger is something that is biological, but appetite is something that is social, the social desire to have certain kind of food. Now, what is very interesting is to see that this appetite is also gendered. Even hunger is gendered. Girls from very early age, they are socialized to to bear hunger. Women, it's a very feminine quality, that you have to suppress your hunger. If girls manifest or express, according to Rai Sundari Devi, Devi, she says that if women expresses her hunger, it becomes an act of shame. And so also we see, so coming to appetite, we see that boys are encouraged to have bigger appetites. Men are generally introduced to have strong diets, while women are introduced to have healthier ones. Boys are from very early age, I said that if you don't drink milk, if you don't eat eggs, how will you survive? How will how will you run? How will you do things? But these are not the cases with, girls or the female. So this is how socialization works. Also, if we look into meat, the portion, that is what you are eating, that we can refer to the sexual politics of meat as referred to by Adam somewhere during the 1990s. It is something that is present across cultures. It is that the best portions of meat are often served to men. If we look into the Hindu tradition, we find that it is men who are given the best portions of fish, and the ones with lesser fish bones and everything, something that's male preferences. But what is to be seen, that it is not only men who abide by this, but the women also, they have so much so internalized these values that they also reiterate the same kind of feeling. So women are socialized into values which says that yes, it is my duty to offer the best piece to the man. It is my duty, and I will be falling guilty if I ever, rather not often, if I ever take the best piece of fish from my for myself. So thereby my nutritional intakes are dictated by others. Also, having meal after the male members has also been the traditional practice for many, across many societies. Also, having the leftovers, be it not the plate, not the leftovers at the plate, but the leftovers after the male members have taken the food. Here we also find that the elderly female members also have taken their food, and after that, double marginalization is taking place, and the women of the house is having a food. But having plate from the husband's plate is also considered as a sign of love and ideal femininity. So these are all very important. If we look into the religion, if we look into the religious aspects of food and gender, we find women fast for the well-being of their men or their male partners, or like, you are abstaining yourself from consumption, nutritional intake for others. It's very good, but it is not so good because it is patterned around unequal gender relations. If it would have been based on equality, that yes, I am doing it for the well-being of the male member of my family, so the male member is also doing it for me, then it would have been okay. But it is one way. It is not something that is being reciprocated otherwise. So also we also find that gender is tied to having or even not having food. It is also among the Hindu widows. We find that after the demise of the husband of the women, they abstain from having proper nutritional meals, from pulses, or from fish, meat, and everything. So the relationship of women to food is always via men. So the men plays a crucial factor in determining, or here I would say that the power structures inherent in the society makes relationship of food and women, which is supposed to be a straight parallel path, because food is something that is very basic, something that we need for our bodily sustenance. It is a basic drive, but as it has been made to interact with discourses surrounding through various agencies and various other societal force. So we find that the power dynamics of the patriarchal gendered roles and society are also reflected when our relationship with food is concerned. So, to conclude, to wrap up the session, what can be done? Do we leave it like this? No, we are questioning, we are working on it. That means, of course, some kind of changes are initiated. We are, of course, we are at a time period when we are carrying something, we are adding something, globalization is impacting. So, food, one thing is very clear: food is value laden, however neutral it might appear. Also, food is the manifestative dimension of gender difference, lesser, more, greater, whatever it is. But yes, it is the manifestative dimension of gender difference. So, we need to challenge the stereotypes. We need to make it inclusive. Inclusive means women needs to be included in the entire cycle of food production, food distribution, food consumption. And all of them should be at par with men, equally with men. And of course, women's education, empowerment, all of them are important and crucial factors here. The understanding, the placing of women, like women and entrepreneurs related to agriculture, food, all of them are coming up, but it is very less. And of course, it's time taking. It will not be an overnight process, but yes, it needs to be looked into. Also, considering that women are someone who are who are economically dependent on men. All of them are very much they are absolutely from the grassroots level, they are absolutely ingrained in our social societal structure. Taking them out is very difficult without proper activism by each and every one of us. Like, I would like to share a very small example regarding this. We went out for a dinner. I went out with dinner with my family a few days back, and it was a treat from my side. But once when the dinner was done, I found that when we asked for the bill, the waiter got the bill, and with the QR scanner code, the bill and everything was placed in front of my husband. So it's the general assumption of the society that it is the men who would be carrying the economic burdens, and it is the woman who would be carrying the emotional burden. So it needs some sort of activism by all of us. We need to rethink, we need to redo, we need to actually look into the root causes for how it is happening. So reconfiguration of the gendered space, it is very much essential. We need to reconfigure the gendered space from the spatial dimension. We see that in urban settings, kitchens are being made open kitchens, so some sort of uh, from the kitchen to be the storehouse, to be dirty, to make it clean and everything, drudgery, from making it kitchen is being more interesting, made to a place that where you love to be in. But we love to be in the kitchen by choice and not by expectations, or not by burdens, or not by compulsion. It is something that is very essential. It is something, but it should not be an essentialism that is related to my gender. It should be something essential for my sustenance, and it should be gender neutral in that case. So the dialectical relationship between gender and food, that is food that actually went on to frame the gendered food, or the gender basically went on to frame food into certain angles. Now food is again has become so much structure that it is become the living manifestation of the multifarious gendered ways that society can showcase. So to come out of this, food should be taken within the holistic framework of gender. So whenever we are studying other aspects of gender studies. So through food, how gender equality can be achieved, it should be brought within the broader holistic umbrella of food. I have some references and further readings. I thank you all for your patient hearing, and I invite questions you might have.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for such a detailed insight despite the technical glitches, which is a part of every online story, I would say, because technical glitches are a part and parcel of life. It goes on and on, but still, despite such digital hurdles, you still kind of elaborated on every aspect of how gender and food are intertwined with each other in everyday household, in the culinary spaces, in kitchen, in household chores. Thank you very much, ma'am, for such a detailed session. Now, I would like to request our participants, if they have any queries, they can either write in the chat box or they can unmute themselves and ask the speaker directly. Any question from the participants? Because today's topic was very interesting. All the while, we used to have webinars on different aspects on gender and class, on caste. But today's topic is a bit different. It has to do with our everyday life, daily sustenance, because without food, we cannot exist. Simultaneously, gender is an important part of our life. So both of them are intertwined with each other. So any queries, any observation, any feedback for today's session, please, you are welcome. Anyone has anything to share regarding their experience?
So for all those, I would say, for all those who are here, it is, as ma'am has said, it is a matter which is a part and parcel of our everyday life. And the problem lies in the fact that it is invisible. We take it for granted. We do not question them. So at least as a take back from what we have discussed today, we can, as individuals, we can actually look into, we can ask ourselves that is it gendered or is it not? It is not about pursuing feminism and saying that yes, as a woman I will not cook. Why will I cook? I will cook, of course, for my sustenance, but not for keeping up to the gendered roles. That is what we need to, we need to think and rethink. And as pursuants of social sciences, we need to have an eye for our surroundings, what kind of things are having. So that's problematizing food. That is what we should be taking back.
Yeah, because cooking and gender stereotype, gender roles, they are also
Absolutely.
interrelated with each other very much. Household chores, cooking.
Everything.
So I don't think so any questions are there. So
Okay.
then we will wrap up today's session. So my sincere gratitude to Dr. Tithasha Sinha ma'am for taking out her valuable time and enriching all of us on such a pertinent issue of gender and food, how they both intersect with each other. We look forward to future endeavors with you, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming over. My sincere
Thank you
gratitude.
so much for
Okay, my sincere gratitude goes out to our respected directors, Sir Professor Dr. Avindu from Ashadi Wisdom Campus, Sri Lanka, without whose guidance and support, this webinar would not have been possible. Thank you very much, sir, for your guidance, support, inspiration, everything. And thanks to all the participants for joining. Those who have joined, you will be getting your certificate soon. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was pleasure discussing. Thank you.
Same here, ma'am. Thank you. Take care.
Okay.